Hello, Vikas. Can you tell me what we seen in last lecture? Yes. Yes, let's start the next point, that is the memory address. In the example from the previous page, which example? Yes, this one, BMW, Volvo, this one. And operator was used to the create a reference variable, but it can also be used to the get the memory address of a variable, which is the location of where the variable is stored on the computer. When a variable is created in C++, a memory address is assigned to the variable, and when we assign a value to the variable, it is stored in this memory address. To access it, use the AND operator, and the result will represent the where the variable is stored. For example, see here, hash include IO string, hash include string using namespace standard, integer main in curly bracket, string food is equals to pizza, cout ampersand food. हे काय ampersand food म्हणजे काय, त्याचं मेमरी लोकेशन जे आहे ते आहे. In this example, return 0, curly bracket complete, then output is what? This value. This value means this is the octal number from this memory address. Sorry, hexadecimal number, hexadecimal count from the memory address. Then C++ pointers. A pointer is a variable that holds a memory address where a value lives. A pointer variable points to a data type like integer or string of the same type, and it is created with the star operator. A pointer is declared using the star operator before an identifier, as C++ is a statically typed language. The type is required to declare a pointer. We have initialized a pointer, but it points now where it has no memory address. Then hash include IO stream, hash include string, then using namespace standard, integer mean, string food is equals to, in double quote there is pizza, semicolon, then a string variable, string star ptr equals to ampersand food, a pointer variable that stores the address of this food. Then output the value of food, cout food /n. Then output the memory addresses of food is ampersand food. जर नुसतं फूड वापरलं तर तो काय करेल, त्याचं आउटपुट द व्हॅल्यू ऑफ फूड, ह्या फूडची व्हॅल्यू इथं टाकेल तो सी आउट मध्ये, आणि आपला आउटपुट काय दिसेल, पिझ्झा. आणि जर मेमरी ऍड्रेस त्याचा द्यायचा असेल तर त्याला काय देतो आपण, ampersand food. मग ampersand फूडची व्हॅल्यू काय, स्ट्रिंग स्टार ptr. जो पॉइंटर जिथं ज्या मेमरीला सेट आहे तो काय करणार, आपल्याला ऍड्रेस दाखवणार. देन आउटपुट द मेमरी ऍड्रेस ऑफ फूड with the pointer cout ptr/n. Return 0. Then first output is what, pizza. Second output is what? Memory address. And third output is also memory address. Then example explains what? Create a memory variable with the name ptr. The points to the string variable by using the asterisk sign. String star ptr. Note that the type of the pointer has to match the type of variable. We are working with this, the pointer and asterisk. Use the operator to store the memory address of the variable called food and assign it to the pointer. Now ptr holds the value of food's memory address. Then tip is what? There are three ways to declare the pointer variables, but the must way is preferred string star mystring semicolon preferred. मोस्टली काय केला जातो? हा जो आहे पहिला वाला तोच प्रेफर्ड केला जातो, पण आपण ह्या दोन्ही पद्धतीने सुद्धा लिहू शकतो. काय आहे? स्ट्रिंग स्पेस स्टार mystring आणि स्ट्रिंग स्पेस स्टार स्पेस mystring semicolon. Then C++ functions. Programmers modularize them into subprograms or small modules called a function. Functions are intended to do a particular task. They can be compiled and tested separately and can be reused in other programs. Thus, complexity of the entire program can be divided into simple subtasks. These subtasks are easier to write code and debug. You can pass the data known as what? Parameter into a function. Functions are used to perform certain actions and they are important for reusing code. Define the code once and use it many times. Then how to create a function? C++ provides some predefined functions such as main, which is used to execute code, but you can also create your own functions to perform a certain actions. To create, often referred to as declare, a function specify the name of the functions followed by parentheses like opening and closing bracket. So syntax is what? See here, void my functions, opening closing bracket, then open the curly bracket. There is comment like code to be executed, then curly bracket complete. Then my function is the name of the function. Void means that the function does not have a return value. You will learn more about return values later in the next chapter. Next point, inside the functions, the body add code that defines what the function should do. Then how to call a function? Declared a function are not executed immediately. They are saved for the latter's use and will be the executed later. When they are called, to call a function, write the function's name followed by two parentheses and semicolon. In the following example, my functions is used to print a text, the actions when it is called. So see the example, hash include iostream.h using namespace standard void my functions bracket open cout I just got executed, then bracket complete, then integer main my functions semicolon return 0. म्हणजे काय केलं बघा, इथं पहिल्यांदा माय फंक्शनचा कोड लिहिला. माय फंक्शन्स मध्ये काय आहे, आय जस्ट गॉट एक्झिक्युटेड हे तुमचं आउटपुट येणार आहे. पण ते कॉल कुठं केलंय, मेन फंक्शन मध्ये. मेन फंक्शन मध्ये कसं कॉल केलंय, फक्त त्या फंक्शनचं नाव लिहिलंय आणि रिटर्न 0 केलाय त्याचा टाईप. सो आउटपुट इज व्हॉट, आय जस्ट गॉट एक्झिक्युटेड. A function can be called multiple times. Hash include iostream.h using namespace standard void main function, then cout I just got executed /n integer main my function semicolon my function semicolon my function semicolon. हे किती वेळाही आपण काय करू शकतो, मल्टिपल टाइम्स ते कॉल करू शकतो. Functions declaration and definition. A C++ functions consist of two parts. First is what, declaration, and second is what, definition. So declaration means what, the function's name, return type and parameters. हे काय करतो आपण, डिक्लेरेशन करतो. आणि त्याचं डेफिनेशन काय करतो, द बॉडी ऑफ द फंक्शन्स कोड टू बी एक्झिक्युटेड, ह्याला आपण काय म्हणतो, त्याची डेफिनेशन म्हणतो. सो void my function declaration and the body of the functions, this is the definition bracket close. Notice what, if a user defined function such as my function is declared after the main function, an error will occur. It is because C++ works from top to bottom, which means that if the functions is not declared above main, the program is unaware of it. See the function integer main my function return 0, then void my function cout I just got executed. Output is what, in function integer main there will be error, my function was not declared in this scope. However, it is possible to separate the declaration and the definition of the function for code optimization. You will often see C++ programs that have functions declaration above main function and functions definitions below main function. This will make the code better organized and easier to read. Then hash include iostream using namespace standard functions declaration void my function semicolon the main method integer main my function call the functions return 0. Then my function definition void my function cout I just got executed. So our output is what, I just got executed. Then C++ parameters and arguments. Information can be passed to the functions as a parameter. Parameter acts as a variable inside the functions. Parameters are specified after the function name. Inside the parenthesis, you can add as many parameters as you want. Just separate them with a comma operator. See your syntax. Void function name, parameter 1, parameter 2, parameter 3, then code to be executed. Then the following example has a function that takes a string called fname as parameter. When the functions is called, we pass along a first name, which is used inside the functions to print the full name. Hash include IO string, hash include string using namespace standard, void my function string fname. Then cout fname references /n integer integer main my function Liam my function Jenny my function Anaj. Then our output is Liam refresh Jenny refreshes Anja refreshes. When parameter is passed to the function, it is called the argument. So from the example above, fname is a parameter and while Liam, Jenny and Anja are the arguments. Then default parameter value. You can also use a default parameter value by using the equals sign. If we call the function without an argument, it uses the default value that is Norway. So here void main void my function string country equal to Norway, cout country, then integer main curly bracket my function Sweden, my function India, my function USA, return 0. Then our output is Sweden, India, Norway, and USA. A parameter with a default value is often known as optional parameter. From the example above, country is an optional parameter and Norway is a default value. Then multiple parameters. Inside a function, you can add as many parameters as you want. Then include string, then void main my functions, string fname, integer age, cout fname, reference age years old /n. Here integer is integer main is what? My function Liam and 3. My functions Jenny and 14. My function Anja and 30. So return 0 and curly bracket complete. So output is what? Liam represents 3 years old. Jenny represents 14 years old. Anja represents 30 years old. Note that when you are looking with multiple parameters, the functions call must have the same number of arguments as there are parameters, and the arguments must be passed in the same order. Then return values. Then the void keyword used in the previous example indicates that the function should not return a value. If you want to the functions to return a value, you can use a data type such as integer, string, etc. inside of void and use the return keyword inside the functions. Hash include iostream using namespace standard integer my functions integer x, then return 5 plus x. Then what is the value of x? So integer main function see out my function 3 return 0. So my function ची बघा इथं व्हॅल्यू काय केली पॅरामीटर पास केलाय ॲज अन इंटीजर 3 म्हणून. सो इथं रिटर्न 5 प्लस एक्स 5 प्लस एक्स ची व्हॅल्यू काय घेणार तो 3. So 5 plus 3 is 8. So our output is what? 8. This example returns the sum of functions with 2 parameters. Then hash include iostream using namespace standard integer my function integer x integer y, then return x plus y, then integer main see out my functions 5 comma 3, then return 0. Our output is what? X plus y, but here x ची value आणि y ची value काय 5 आणि 3. So 5 plus 3 is 8. Same as here, return x plus y and my function parameter is function आहे इथं 5 आणि 3 x आणि y च्या रिस्पेक्टेड व्हॅल्यू घेतलेल्या आहेत म्हणून मग z ची व्हॅल्यू काय येणार 8. Then pass by reference. In the example from the previous page, we use normal variables when we pass the parameters to a function. You can also pass a reference to the function. This can be useful when you need to change the value of arguments. Hash include iostream using namespace standard void swap num integer x ampersand x integer ampersand y. Integer z equals to x, x equals to y, y equal to z. Integer main in bracket in curly bracket integer first num equal to 10, second integer second num equal to 20, see out before swap slash n, see out first num second num slash n. Call the functions which will change the values of the first num and second num. Swap nums first num comma second num. See out after swap the value is what? Slash n. See out first name second name आणि slash n return 0. Output काय येता है before swap 1020 and after swapping 2010. Then function overloading. With the function overloading, multiple functions can have the same name with the different parameters. With the function overloading, multiple functions can have the same name with the different parameters. For example, integer my function integer x, float my function float x, double my function double x, and double y. Consider the following example which have two functions that add numbers and different types. Then double, consider the following examples here. Integer plus function int integer x and comma integer y. Then return type is what? X plus y. Then double plus function double x double y, return x plus y. Integer my num1 equal to plus function integer 8 comma 5 double my num plus function double equals to 4.3 comma 6.26. So see out integer my num slash n, see out double my num 2. So its value is what? Integer 8 plus 5 is what? 13, and 4.3 and 6.26 is the 10.56. Then inline function. An inline function is a function whose code gets inserted into the caller's code stream. Then, thus when the function is declared as inline, it tells the compiler to replace each call to the function with explicit code for the functions like a hash define macro. Inline functions improve performance by avoiding the overhead of the call. Thus, inline functions are new design approach to speed up program execution. They save the memory space as the calls to the same code need not be the duplicate in memory. Then when you declared an inline function, it looks just like a normal functions. Void function 1 integer x comma character y. But when you define an inline function, you prepend the function's definitions with the keyword inline, and you put the definition into a header file. Inline void function 1 integer x character 1. Then inline void function 1 integer x comma character y. In curly bracket there is function code curly bracket complete. Example integer square int hash include iostream dot h void main curly bracket open integer number is equals to 5, and see out square of the given number is square number curly bracket complete. Inline integer square integer a return a star a. Whenever inline function is called, the code of the function is interested by the compiler. So above program is equivalent to this. Then recursive function or recursion. When function calls itself within its body, it is called as recursive function. But note that the above of the argument of the past argument must be different. Recursion is also called as circular definition. See the example, void main int n dot f c out, enter the number of factorial is to be found. Then c in n, f is equals to factorial n, c out factorial is f, curly bracket complete, integer factorial int n, then in curly bracket in fact equal to 1, if n equal to 1, return 1, else fact equal to factorial n minus 1 star n, return fact. Our output is what? Enter the number which factorial is to be found, that is 3. This factorial is 6. Okay, thank you.